All right, let's get right into it. We're about to unpack one of the most, truly radical business model shifts in industrial history. It's the story of how Rolls-Royce took this massive, incredibly complex piece of hardware and turned it into a service. You heard that right. This is the story of power by the hour.
So let me ask you a question, and it seems simple on the surface. How do you sell a jet engine? You build this masterpiece of engineering, costs millions of dollars. You sell it to an airline. Done. But what if the best way to sell it
Is to not sell it at all? Yeah, it sounds a little crazy, right? But that one counterintuitive idea is the absolute key to understanding how a huge part of modern aviation actually works. And it's a concept that Rolls-Royce pioneered over 60 years ago.
So that's what we're diving into first, this incredible strategic pivot, this move away from just selling products to selling outcomes. It's a concept that has a name now, we call it servitization, but Rolls-Royce was doing it long before it was cool.
And it all started right here. Look at this, a trademark filed all the way back in 1962. Power by the hour. The deal was simple but revolutionary. Airlines didn't buy the engine anymore. Nope, they bought what they actually needed, which is thrust, right? Propulsion. They paid Rolls-Royce a fixed cost for every single hour that engine was fired up and keeping a plane in the sky.
And here's where it gets really, really smart. This completely flips the script on incentives. You see, the old way of doing things, this time and materials model, well, believe it or not, the manufacturer actually made more money when stuff broke. More repairs, more parts, more cash. But with power by the hour, everything changed. Suddenly, Rolls-Royce only makes money when that engine is working perfectly, reliably, and staying on the wing. Their success was now for the first time completely tied to the airline's success, a total game changer.
Okay, but if you're going to make a promise that bold, to guarantee performance for decades, you can't just change the paperwork. You have to fundamentally change the machine itself. And that brings us to the incredible engineering that makes this whole thing possible.
You see, the success of this model is literally built into the core DNA of the Trent engine family. Unlike their competitors, Rolls-Royce uses this unique three-spool design. Now, just think of it like three independent, concentric shafts, all spinning at their own perfect speed. It's a design that's just inherently more efficient, it runs cooler, and it's way less likely to stall. And this table just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got the Rolls-Royce Trent with its three spools. On the right, competitors like GE using a two-spool design. That third spool, that's the secret sauce. It gives Rolls-Royce a fundamental leg up in efficiency and durability, which is absolutely essential when your whole business depends on keeping those engines flying.
So what does all that fancy engineering actually mean in the real world? Well, it means this. Trent engines can stay on the wing, attached to the airplane, up to 25% longer between major overhauls. When your entire business model is based on maximizing flying hours, that 25% isn't just a nice little improvement. It's everything.
But hey, world-class engineering alone isn't going to cut it in the 21st century. The modern Trent engine has evolved. It's not just a piece of machinery anymore, it's a flying data center, and it's managed by its very own digital doppelganger.
Just let that number sink in for a second. 10,000 data points, streaming from every single engine on every single flight in real time. This is the absolute heart of what they call the intelligent engine vision, where every physical engine has this living, breathing digital twin that perfectly mirrors its health and performance. And here's the magic of how it works. They call it the blue data thread, and it connects the whole shebang. So sensors on the engine are constantly collecting data. That data gets beamed down to Rolls-Royce's command centers. There, the digital twin runs simulations, forecasting future performance, and it lets them predict a potential problem weeks before it happens, so they can schedule maintenance before it ever becomes a real issue. Incredible.
So, you've got this beautiful system, right? Incredibly sophisticated, perfectly aligned, engineering, finance, data, all working in harmony. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it turns out this finely tuned model was about to fly straight into a perfect storm.
The first hit was a technical one, a big one. The Trent 1000 engine, the one that powers the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, had a serious problem with its turbine blades. Now, because of that power-by-the-hour contract, the huge financial hit didn't fall on the airlines. It fell squarely on Rolls-Royce, to the tune of nearly £800 million in a single year just to fix it. Ouch! And just as they were getting a handle on that crisis, the unthinkable happened, the COVID-19 pandemic, and it struck right at the very heart of the business model.
I mean, if all your revenue is tied to flying hours, what happens when all the planes stop flying?
This chart tells the whole terrifying story. In the first half of 2020, engine flying hours just fell off a cliff. We're talking an average drop of 50%, and at its worst, in April, an 80% decline. The river of revenue that powered the entire company just dried up overnight.
And the damage was just staggering. In 6 months, just 6 months, the global shutdown punched a £3 billion hole in the company's free cash flow. The very model that had created so much value and alignment was now exposing the company to a level of risk nobody had ever imagined.
You know, a crisis of that magnitude, it demands radical action. So enter a new CEO who came in with a clear mandate to transform the company from the ground up and, well, save the business model.
And those were his words. The new CEO's unvarnished, blunt assessment of Rolls-Royce when he showed up in 2023. A burning platform. He knew right away there was no time for small, incremental changes. The company's very survival depended on a complete and total overhaul.
And the turnaround plan was incredibly focused, very disciplined. Step 1, go back and renegotiate the service contracts to make sure they were actually profitable. Step 2, sell off any businesses that weren't absolutely core to the mission. And step 3, double down on the areas where Rolls-Royce has a clear, undeniable advantage.
And you know what? The results, well, they really speak for themselves. This data shows the strategy is absolutely working. You can see operating profit and free cash flow are climbing steadily, putting the company on a clear path not just to recover, but to smash its ambitious 2027 financial targets.
So what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway? Well, the power by the hour model is without a doubt brilliant. It aligns everyone's interests and it drives incredible efficiency. But the story of Rolls-Royce is also a really powerful cautionary tale. To make a model like this work, you have to have deep, deep reserves of resilience in your engineering, in your digital systems, and maybe most importantly, in your bank account.
Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on. Rolls-Royce is now taking this exact same thinking and applying it to everything from data centers to, get this, nuclear reactors on the moon. It really makes you wonder, in a world where everything is becoming a subscription, a service, what's the limit? What can't be sold by the hour?